The Federal Reserve was created to fix an unintended part of the U.S. government. One of the most needed institutions for a successful and long-lasting economy is the central bank. In the modern era, it is difficult to find any countries that don't have some form of a central bank in place to help stabilize their economy. The United States for almost 25 years had no central bank, and even when the portions of history where we did, it was considered an uncontrolled and unprepared mess. During the Panic of 1907, it was realized by everyone that one of the richest men alive that took advantage of a world with no antitrust laws, J.P. Morgan, had become the de facto lender of last resort, meaning he became the only big money baller that everyone needed help from. He single-handedly raised the money to keep the stock market open during the panic and banks from failing to reverse the panic. When he died in early 1913, the country needed to make its greatest economic reform in United States history. By the end of 1913, specifically December 23, 1913, President Woodrow Wilson and Congress have created the Federal Reserve. Some might ask, what does the Federal Reserve do? Why does anybody need a central bank? In what way is it important? Today, the Federal Reserve sets the nation's monetary policy, supervises and regulates banking institutions, maintains the stability of the financial system, and provides financial services to depository institutions, the U.S. government, and foreign official institutions. This means the Federal Reserve is providing and maintaining an effective and efficient payment system between financial institutions and supervising and regulating banking operations. One other part is monetary policies, and that's set by Congress. The U.S. Congress established the three key objectives for monetary policy in the Federal Reserve Act: maximizing employment, stabilizing prices, and moderating long-term interest rates. The first two objectives are sometimes referred to as the Federal Reserve's dual mandate. The Federal Reserve was implemented with the dual mandate, always pursuing multiple goals such as low employment rates, stable prices, and long-term interest rates. The goals that have historically always been considered the most important is maximizing employment and stabilizing prices. These are the dual mandates. They do this by lowering or raising their interest rates based on a wide range of factors such as unemployment, consumer confidence, mortgage rates, and others. Another amazing and totally not boring fact of the Federal Reserve is that it's composed of three key entities, including a board of governors, 12 Federal Reserve banks, and the Federal Open Market Committee. Even though most of these branches are appointed by the President and approved by parts of Congress, they work mostly independently from the federal government of the United States, making their actions quicker, less political, and less tedious. The Federal Reserve not being muddied by politics is really important because otherwise it would be too slow to act in huge economic crises like the recession of 2008. Imagine politics being mixed in with an institution trying to save the economy from a recession. Republicans and Democrats wouldn't be able to compromise, and oopsie, all the banks are gone and the government shut down. Ultimately, the Federal Reserve was progressive economically because it made the economy more government-controlled, with the institutions still removed from the government. This is a stark difference from previous times where there were no overseeing institution and the reliance on people like J.P. Morgan to save the economy. The Federal Reserve has been the longest-lasting central bank system in the United States, celebrating 106 years in December. It decides our country's monetary policy even today and is a prime topic in any conversation about the United States economy. No other law from the progressive movement is so deeply involved in today's world as the Federal Reserve, being not just an important economic institution in the United States, but the world. It has been trusted as one of the most important institutions in the United States, and when asked of the appointment by President Obama, he characterized it as just as important of a legacy from his presidency as a Supreme Court nominee.
Do you believe this will be one of the most important, if not the most important, economic decisions you'll make in the remainder of your presidency?
It is definitely one of the most important economic decisions that I'll make in the remainder of my presidency. The Federal Reserve Chairman is not just one of the most important economic policymakers in America. He or she is one of the most important policymakers in the world. And that person presumably will stay on after I'm president. So this, along with Supreme Court appointments, is probably as important a decision as I make as president.